that made it interesting to you? Like, have you seen anything that makes you
Yeah.
go, wow, besides Xbox, hey, this was a successful showcase? Anything?
Yeah, I think that all the showcases were successful in their own ways. It's just that, we grade them differently depending on what what the need was, right? So like I know that the PlayStation, press conference got some flack, and rightfully so, because their fan base was demanding and hungry for information. And they didn't provide said information. So, Jeff Keighley as well. I mean, nothing to burn the house down, but I think a lot of solid stuff has been shown throughout these press conferences. Like today, like Ubisoft today, they showed some good stuff on that press conference. That Prince of Persia is looking like a day one for sure. It's looking. I like the whole redesign and the whole aesthetics of the game that they're going for. I think that's something that franchise needed desperately. A nice little refresh. And
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute. Like, I hear a lot of people complaining about Prince of Persia. I don't know if it's the people who haven't played Prince of Persia before. Like, okay, so to be real, I like, and maybe this is not the real or the actual issues being experienced across the board, but I heard, oh, it's not the real Prince. It doesn't look like the Prince used to. He's got braids or dreads or whatever.
Wow.
The music choice that they made, the music that they put in the background of the trailer wasn't necessarily the most indicative of that style. So people were complaining about that a bit. Has that crossed your timeline?
I mean, I've seen a little bit of it. But the thing that I'll say is that this is a complete reimagining. So when you get given a blank canvas, you can kind of make it your own, and I think that's what they've done, and they've rebooted this thing to a modern audience, which is a fresh take on it, and it's refreshing, because I think that, like I mentioned before, it's something that this franchise needed. And everything I've seen from it, not only just the gameplay elements, but the character designs and stuff, they look cool. It looks modern. It looks like.
Did you by any chance? Did you by any chance get to see it on because after they showed a few of the trailers and stuff, they ended up showing like actual gameplay, like somebody playing it and showing you. No. It is very much Ori and the Blind Forest, bro.
Yeah, I mean, the color palette and the whole design of it looks that way. I've only seen like the trailers that they shown. Like I saw the one today, which I was instantly like, yeah, that's a day one for sure. And then when they revealed it at the Keighley show, I was like, hey, this looks great. I really don't know what there is to complain about. I mean,
yeah, like let me be absolutely honest. Like there was a time when I felt a little bit salty about Prince of Persia, because I'm like, hey, are you guys gonna do Prince of Persia like you did what do you call it, Titanfall, right, with Apex Legends? Are we never gonna see Prince of Persia again because Assassin's Creed is doing so well, right?
Yeah.
And I would understand if they did that, because it makes business sense. But it looks like somebody in Ubisoft just went, hey, we have this Prince of Persia game here sitting here. Why not give it another shot? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
happy about it.
Me too. And the thing is that for me, I mean, Warrior Within will always be the GOAT, especially that intro video with, you know what I'm talking about, with that bad lady coming out of the boat. But seriously speaking, though,
I actually played that recently on the deck.
Yeah, I mean, Warrior Within, it was my favorite back during the OG Xbox days, but this looks, man, this is exactly what that franchise needed. I think that's gonna do really, really well, actually.
And on that note, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another beta. I guess what train wreck, unfinished plane being built in the air while it's flying, episode of what? Yes, welcome to Southwest Airlines or Spirit Airlines.
Oh, Spirit Airlines, yeah.
What we like to call the Gamers Playground, the show that will eventually be the show that aims to tackle the monolith that is known as PCMR. Make it approachable for people, make it something that everybody can jump in on, because you'll notice that gaming doesn't matter where you choose to do it, as long as you're having fun. And PC is definitely one of those places where you should think about doing it. And I am
it's
here.
the place. It's the place.
Well,
right
yeah. Especially these days, and I think we're gonna have that conversation today as well because we have a good hour to talk today, and there's a lot to talk about. We're gonna talk about the Xbox game showcase, and I know the first thing somebody would say is, "Hey, why talk about the Xbox game showcase on a PC show?" But guess what? By the very nature of Microsoft.
Yep.
They are now basically muddying the waters and blurring the lines and calling that platform both console platform and PC hardware. So hey,
even if you game
all those games fair in game.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and even if you game on PC, you're an Xbox customer. You're an Xbox
potentially,
gamer, so.
Yeah, potentially. So we will get into some of that, and I also want to talk a bit about the whole frame rate concern, the whole frame rate conversation, because obviously it came back around again with Starfield. Yes. So we will definitely talk about that. But Mr. John Wolf, sir, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, man. I got a few days off this week. I did that on purpose so I can catch up on some things I got to take care of.
Yeah, why am I even asking you how you're doing? You've had days off. You have more days off coming. How am I doing? Because I'm doing better. I'm doing worse than you for sure.
I got that ROG coming in tomorrow. Actually, I got to go pick it up in Best Buy. I'm going to be first thing there in the morning. I already have the eGPU set up on my living room setup. I have the cabling and all that good stuff. I have the project almost complete. And that emulation project almost complete, and I'm feeling pretty good right now, man. It's been the showcase yesterday was really good, and I'm in a good gaming space right now.
Excellent. Now, okay, so and welcome. I see folks in the chat. Yes, as we do here, we do not telegraph this show is about to start. We just jump right into it. We have no intros. We have no outros. When you pop in, we're just talking. And if you enjoy the conversation, hit that like button. Maybe subscribe if you haven't. If you ask a question, we'll answer it for you. We're monitoring the chat. All is fair here in the Gamers Playground. So, how do you want to attack this? So I have I see a lot of games on this list, a lot. And I think I want to spend some time on Starfield because, boy, Starfield was a thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to because I have the whole list of games that were showed specifically at the Xbox Showcase. And if you want to talk about any other games, I will try and be quick and do a quick Google, a quick search and pop it up. Any specific PCs focused things that came up out of these showcases that you want to highlight? Anything that came out that made you go, that's interesting, before we get into the games proper?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing is even when Phil was talking right at the end of the show, I think that he even mentioned, that these games were designed with obviously the consoles at mind, but also PC, and he was very strategic to mention PC in there because, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, if you game on PC and you're on Game Pass or you buy Xbox games, you're an Xbox customer. And and the thing is that I think that they've opened up this ecosystem now that it's exactly the vision, from X amount of years back. I think it was 2016 where this whole thing really started going, where Xbox wanted to be synonymous with console and PC, and it's a thing. I think that they've arrived, and even if you own only a PC now, any game that you saw in yesterday's show, you can get it, and you're gonna be able to play it. So I think that's a good thing.
You know what? I think that is a very good sentiment that you brought up. And with that, I think we should start just kind of looking through some of the games that they presented. Now, let me be clear. While we have this chat, right, I want to keep it focused on PC because that's what we're here to talk about. But all is fair. All is fair game. If there's something that I don't bring up that folks want to discuss in the chat yourself, go ahead and let me know. I'll make sure I bring it up. I'll pop it up on the screen. I'll share some of the stuff that we're talking about. Hopefully, I don't get demonetized. We're a young show here, so we'll play it by ear and see how it goes. But I specifically want to bring up this. I want to bring up a few games that I saw that I feel like maybe aren't getting the attention they deserve necessarily in the community. So first and foremost, let's bring out South of Midnight. Do you remember this trailer, sir?
I absolutely. I remember that. What I vividly loved about the trailer was the art style in it. It has it has like if the characters and the world is made of wood. This look to it,
Yeah.
which is a very unique art style.
Very Burton-esque, isn't it? Very Burton-esque. It's almost like
Yes.
the Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the only thing is that I do have to kind of ask, and I wish that we could have seen some type of gameplay. Is what type of game is this? That's something that I have no idea what we're looking at here.
I can tell you based on reports that this is what the Lord Cognito of the Iron Lords, hashtag Lord Cognito, calls hashtag Just One. This is a single player, narrative heavy, over the shoulder driven game, almost PlayStation-esque, if you will. This is supposed to be one of those. Yeah.
Okay, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Although I do agree with you that just looking at it, that wouldn't have told you that, right? They gave you that tone piece, they gave you that cinematic vibe. Although, again, to be fair, everything that Microsoft showed off, they said was going to be in-engine or in-game cinematics. So presuming that this would be in-engine cinematics. So it looks interesting.
If there's one thing that excites me about it is that Compulsion, they create these very unique worlds. They're capable of doing that, and also putting a lot of thought into their story. So there's going to be themes in here probably that they're going to touch on, and I think that it's going to be something that it can have that sentimental attachment to a lot of people.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. So this is definitely one I want to keep on the radar. Like, did they? I don't even remember. Did they mention a release date for this? I suspect just 2024, right? They didn't even. They weren't specific beyond 2024, correct?
I don't think so. No, I don't think that.
Yeah, I don't think they were anything beyond 2024. So
that was a theme. That was a theme.
Yeah.
So
they weren't really specific on detail. They were just very specific on the year, and they just kind of kept it moving with that.
They did the smart thing by not putting anything that that could come back and bite them. I think that they did good on that.
Yeah. So okay, let's talk about another title, because this one I find is interesting, because I want to talk about Avowed, but I want to talk about Avowed under the premise of how it looked last time they showed it compared to how it's shown now.
Yeah, that's been the thing. That's been the
thing. That has been a theme now, right? So take a look at this here, and we'll talk over it. I'm not going to play any of the audio, but you're looking at it, right? You're seeing, seeing all the sword and shield-esque kind of iconography and
this
how very gray. Yes. This is 2020, 2 years ago.
2020. Yeah.
Right? Gray world, right? Very, very gritty and realistic world, right? So it's very interesting that this is how they showed this off, and obviously after this is done, we will show you the newer version of the trailer, the one that was shown off yesterday, or was it? Yeah, yesterday, I think it was. Yes, and like we'll compare the difference, but
this looks
better. Is super interesting.
I mean,
you think so?
Yeah, I think that this looks better, and I do think that this was kind of like nowhere did I see that this was supposed to be using the engine that they were going to use or anything like that. I think that they just did this to kind of give you the feel of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to hold that against them, because they even though that this little thing right here looks like that show Arrow. They use the same the same font, but it's hard to really blame them.
Here's the new one.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. While I was watching the trailer, even though the game looks really good, and it's Obsidian, I mean, they're going to do. I mean, the game's going to be great. Don't like anybody that doesn't think that, they're the RPG masters right now. And the thing is that the graphics left a little something there to be left. Something there that I wish the graphics were a little bit better.
Let's be fair. Okay. See, it said this is in-game footage and cinematics. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. And this is why what you're describing here, and I'm not saying that you're wrong, but what you're describing specifically here is exactly the reason why I dislike when people first and foremost show us what do you call it? CG trailers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a fan of that, because it can do nothing but disappoint. Because there you are. As good as this looks, you are disappointed because the first thing they showed you was a CG trailer that had nothing to do with any game.
That's true. And
right?
then you automatically think that it's a downgrade when it's not.
Exactly. Although I will say, this looks amazing. I am super excited. To me, this looks better than it did last time. You know why? Because it doesn't speak the same language as Skyrim. Like Skyrim exists, right? Fallout exists. No need to make a Fallout clone. If you're going to make a Fallout clone, put something different to it. Do something that it didn't, right? That's the reason why The Outer Worlds was so successful, beyond the fact that it was a great game. It is Fallout with color. That's what Fallout doesn't do. It has no color. It has no vibrance, right? This is Skyrim with color.
That's fair.
Right?
I think that's.
It doesn't need to do exactly the same thing Skyrim does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I like really any nitpicking that I'm doing right now. It's just I think honestly that I'm just talking off the cuff what I thought.
Sure. No, of course. We're just having a chat, bro. We're just talking. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not really it's not me trying to judge the game saying that it's trash or anything like that. It's just I think that the game is somewhere along development where these things might get fixed up, polished up. I think that, the character that they chose to show is a little generic, right there, like that power stomp thing that he just did.
It's a little
that looked generic. It looked a little unpolished, but they got plenty of time to
But I will say to your point about the way it looked, to your point about how it looked, it did seem that most, if not all, the games were not like done just waiting to be shown. You could still see a little bit of jankiness, a little bit of pushy, a little bit of hitching here and there, just a little bit in here and there. You'd see a little stuff that you're just like, they're still working on it. This is definitely a vertical slice rather than a game that's been done a while, just kind of sitting there waiting to be shown off. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, we're not faulting it for that, obviously. Who's going to fault it for that?
I think that, overall, again, nothing, without being too harsh of a critic, it's just that you always want to put your best foot forward. I think that Xbox is still learning on how to do that, how to show the most polished version of a game and not have it, be picked apart. I think that they still have things to learn, but I mean, again, I'm just being picky right now. It looked great.
I get you. No, I 100%. And on the topic of being picky, I'm also being picky here. I'm literally just digging through some of these games that I saw and thought was super excellent that I kind of want to bring up. And I'm specifically picking games that I don't see and or hear other people really talking about. Yes, I know Avowed is a thing that has been discussed in many corners, but they haven't discussed it in glowing terms. It's always been discussed under the, hey, this was great, but now it looks like a downgrade, which
let's talk about the big. I disagree too. I think that the way that people are framing it is incorrect. Now, I think that if you want to say that, hey, they kind of changed their art style from the first CGI trailer. That's fair. You can.
And by the way, there is a context to the change of the CGI trailer. By the way, maybe that might help folks. So the initial idea was they were going for Skyrim. Their version of Skyrim, much like how their other game went for their version of Fallout. But between the trailer reveal, the CGI trailer reveal, and now they have opted, instead of going for that Skyrim-esque, make your own adventure, open world, just do you and find your own fun, they're now getting a bit more narrative focus and trying to tell a more bespoke story. Has been reported. So as such, it may not be as Skyrim-esque as was first reported, and it's kind of changed that art style a little bit as well. So instead of just a generic protagonist and you go find the fun as Skyrim was so good at, now it looks like they're going to be more focused on, hey, we have a story to tell, we have a protagonist, we have something we want to say, and you're going to go through the story with us rather than finding your own story like Skyrim.
Which is great. I mean? Which is great.
Better. I love it.
Yeah, yes. we don't want a clone of Skyrim. We want them to do their own thing.
Especially considering the fact that they're now all of them are now on the same team. If you think about it, all of these things were incubated and thought about when they were competitors. Yeah, if you're competitors and you want to compete and say, all right, Fallout 4 is gray and gross. Let's have our rendition be colorful and great to be a difference in the market. Great, do that. But when you find yourself sitting side by side across the street from your former competitor, and now you guys are on the same team, why make a competitive game? Why not make an additive game? You know what I'm saying? So
I agree.
I think 100%. It's great.
Yeah,
I think it's awesome.
And like I said, the things that I'm criticizing it for are just nitpicking, and the game's gonna slap, seriously.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. I definitely don't. Let's see. So I and we're being more nitpicky and just choosing stuff because these are just like awesome games that I saw. Like here's the
everything
Goddess,
shown was everything
Path
shown
of Goddess
like was
Capcom,
was just
which was awesome.
And that's the thing, right? Like my and maybe we should have started here. My personal review of the show was for I two hats, okay, for grading it as an Xbox show, a plus, 100%.
Okay,
but for me, I give it right for my likes and my interest and what I'm looking forward to playing. I gave it a B because the things that I was looking for did not show up, and that's okay. I mean, not everything needs to be made for me. You know what I'm saying?
Speak on that. This is things like what were you looking forward to having show up that didn't?
I was hoping for, a Gear 6 update. I was hoping for a Gears collection that we kept on hearing about. I was hoping for that Halo Tatanka project that would have taken it up an extra notch for me. And again, personally, I'm giving it a B because of the game shown. But as an Xbox show, if I were to grade it, A plus again. It's just my own. That's where people kind of like. People need to understand that you can two things can be true at the same time. You can look at a show and say, "Hey, that was a solid show. I give that an A because there's games across for multiple individuals and people and a lot of variety, which I give them credit for as a business. But for me personally, I give it a B for X reason and Y reason."
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I was hoping for a few little last minute like real clinchers to like blow the doors off of people. That didn't happen, which is okay, but I did appreciate I think this is one of the better showcases they've had,
I agree.
I think they did a very, very good job. They cleaned that. They really, really, really like came out clean, and they showed off a lot of really interesting content that people generally can get excited for. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's not just this is just one game for one type of person or another type of person. It's a game.
Here's
for
the
everybody,
crazy. Here's the crazy thing, right? And this is something that you will never hear me say about the Xbox platform. I was one of those guys that liked Forza, Gears, and Halo because
the hamburgers, fries, and a shake.
Yes, I'm one of those dudes that likes that because those are the franchises that drew me to the Xbox platform, which is why I always preferred it. But for anyone else saying that has used that in the past, and you do not give this show its high praise for all of the variety that they showed, you're just being a hater. Because the variety shown was phenomenal.
Well,
not only that, but the quality.
Or you're a person who's just all about the quote unquote AAA bangers and nothing else.
Exactly.
Which I wouldn't say you're a hater at that point. At that point, I would say you're spiting yourself. You're minimizing your enjoyment of gaming because you're missing the forest for the trees. There's just so much more out there than just that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And the quality. That's another thing, right? That I think I need to mention real fast. The quality of everything shown, Kay, left me really impressed. Really impressed.
Yeah, I agree. Variety like this game we're looking here, which is what Jasant. It's basically a climbing game. I thought it was very interesting, cool little indie thing that was shown off. Those that know me know that I like games by small teams. Games that are made by very small teams that hit above the what they would normally be about. So games like this, games like this game right here that we're talking about, which is the Dungeons of Hinterberg or whatever. This game, where most people give it short shrift, I saw it and I thought, wow, that's really good art style. Like, beautiful art style. Amazing looking art style. I thought it was really, really cool. So just, different interesting things they added to the showcase to make it kind of shine. I'm looking forward to playing this on an ultra wide screen, my friend. I'm looking forward to playing this on my PC. This is going to be cool. The art style is great. It's timeless. So, for your project, something like this will be 60 frames like butter on a handheld, as well as 60 frames or 100 frames like butter on a PC. So stuff like this looks really cool. So I saw that, and that was on my radar. Mm-hmm.
Can I go back to one game that a trailer passed? We got to talk about that Path of the Goddess. What a unique game that was.
Yeah. They showed it off twice now. They showed it off once at the Xbox showcase there, and they just showed it off again at the Capcom show that just came out, which I think it's pretty awesome, right? I like Capcom. Don't get me wrong, right? People in the chat, don't bring your pitchforks for me. I'm a big
No,
Capcom fan.
Capcom
But my
is
problem is
top notch.
my
Go ahead.
problem is Capcom has been too much in the remake department as of late. Now they do good work there, right? People have loved the remakes that they've been making, but I'm like, where's the new IP, Capcom? Where is that new bite at that apple that will make me excited for something new that you guys have never brought out before? And here we go. You know,
There you go.
there you
Very
go. Now,
unique.
now they're giving you something like that. So I'm
Very
happy about it.
unique. When the trailer started, automatically my brain said Omnimusha. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be. And then as the trailer played out, and I saw and the game started coming together, I'm like, wait a minute, this is something else, but it's very unique.
Something different.
The art style, it looks like, I don't know if this is a 4-player co-op game or of some sorts, that it just, again, it was kind of hard to kind of get a feeling for what the game's gonna be. But man, let me tell you, it left me pretty impressed.
It left an impression, right? I agree. Like, it is really, really well, like the art style is so distinct, and you know, it doesn't look like anything else in our modern gaming so far, right? It's very cool. Like, I am seriously impressed. You know, anything that is like, oh, this looks like that. You know, we are in 2023, and it's time to have. It makes it more difficult to find unique experiences. So when you find them here, they're very notable and very unique. I'm excited to try that.
Yeah.
Let's see, a few more we can expound on before we get to Starfield, because I think we're going to spend a little bit of time on Starfield. But let's see. So, do you play the City Skylines games? Have you tried that before?
I have not, and that looked really, really good. Not my type of game, to be honest with you,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it was impressive as well.
So I bring up the City Skylines game because that game tends to be unique for PC audiences, because you know it's very intricate. It has a lot of buttons, so it tends to play better on a keyboard mouse type situation. There have been there have been folks that have kind of tried to get it to play on handheld, things like that, but it always plays best on a keyboard. I think Microsoft, and they re-released it recently. Microsoft recently put it on Game Pass on PC and console. And the console version does play okay, but I've always just kind of enjoyed being able to play that thing on the PC. So if you haven't tried it, I think you should. Yeah, it takes some getting used to, but like specifically me, the reason why I like those games is I like being able to start small and just watch it get completely insane, you know, because as the graphics get, as you throw more and more intricate systems on the same thing over and over and over again, any system just starts to buckle. You know, your 4090 like turns into dust after a while when your city turns into this big monster. You know,
It's a
monster
living, breathing city.
You know, exactly,
It's-
with lots
so-
of little intricate this and that. You know, it's very cool.
Yeah.
I dig stuff like that. So.
It looked really cool, and let me tell you something that I've been thinking about for a long time. I think because the stuff that they showed, the Flight Simulator 2024 stuff that they showed off, number one, that game is probably the most photorealistic game that there is. You know,
I couldn't tell the difference between some of the images they showed. I was like, okay, is this real or is this fake? I kept going back and forth. Some places you can tell, other places you just cannot. It's very, very impressive. Yeah.
And I will tell you where I'm getting at is that what they showed was solid, but I think that Xbox is missing an audience with that game that I think will lead to success for them, and that's that instead of bundling, you know, the Series S and showing off that game. Like, just bundle it in, all right? Even though Game Pass can be bundled, but still focus on that game. You don't know how many people at work, just people that are not gamers, have asked me about Flight Simulator because they know that I game. So I have people from other departments, you know, an older gentleman asking me, hey, have you seen that airplane game? How can I play that? They asked me, and I've told them just to sign up for Game Pass so that they can give it a try. But I think that's an audience that Xbox should hone in on, because there's a lot of people that will buy consoles just to play Flight Simulator, especially if they don't want to spend so much on a PC.
You know, it's funny you bring that up, because I gotta tell you, it's very interesting. Flight Sim, most people give it short shrift because it's an old IP. It transcends gaming. Like,
Yes.
I know people who spend thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars building their rig just to play this one game. They are not PC gamers. They don't play PC games at all. Like, they play this one game. And play is a relative term. I know a family whose father got into it, very avid flight sim gamer. Oh, and he's a pilot. And his son became a very avid gamer. Oh, and he eventually got his pilot's license. Oh, and his wife and his son and his daughter do it. Oh, and they also eventually, like, it turns you into a pilot, right? Yeah. These are instructional videos that you can play and enjoy that eventually you have to have that love for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're playing a tutorial.
Absolutely. Osobo right now is on a whole different level, man. They really, Xbox needs to lock that down because they are operating at a high level. And the thing is, too, that their trailers, they shoot some amazing trailers for their games. And I think that this is definitely a developer that can, they have so much range, okay, that they can make probably anything that they want to make.
I don't disagree. Like, and their level of fidelity, like some of these shots, you're just like, were they showing you reference designs to show you what they're going for? From like this right here. Like, are they showing you a reference design, or is that an actual like is that a real video that they're showing you, or is that like rendering? And it's just insane that this is actually a thing. So
amazing.
The unfortunate nature of this is it is so intricate and so beyond gaming that people just call this a tutorial or call it like an instructional video and give the whole team short shrift because of it. Oh, well, this is not a game in the proper sense. It's beyond a game,
Yeah, absolutely. But that left an impression. That this game right here left an impression, and then obviously before we got to talk about the connection here with the Persona games. I mean, Xbox all of a sudden they've become the home of Persona.
Yeah, that is true. So I've played Persona 4 Golden. I beat Persona 4 Golden. It's a very proud achievement on my behalf. Why? Not because the game is hard, but because it requires a commitment of your life to play that game. It's over 150 hours, and even after I was done, I felt like I missed some things. Persona is that franchise that makes that people start off very intimidated by, and you should be, because it's like so long. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I am very happy that they finally got past that narrative of, well, Atlas is not going to put any of their games on Xbox. Right. Absolutely. It looks like not only are they putting all their past games on Xbox, not only are they remaking, right? They're remaking games. They're putting games on there. They're doing all this stuff, and then new IPs are also coming in, right? Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
What's the name of the new IP? I forget the name of it. Metaphor.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the next great thing right after Persona. It's supposed to be like their new big game. And the thing is too that I mean with PlayStation, with Square planting the flag over on PlayStation side, I think that Xbox has been able to nurture that relationship through Sega Atlas and said, hey, you guys, we'll back you up. Plant your flag over here, and we want Xbox, the Xbox brand, to be the home for Persona. And I think that that it's happening. Yeah. It's happening.
Absolutely. Oh, and shout out to the man, the Wandering Dutch. Salute to you, sir, for being here. He's saying, by the way, that Flight Sim is a new SKU, new game, not just an update.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, they made such substantial updates to the core bit game that they released it as a new SKU, like a next gen version of this game.
That's amazing. Amazing. Dude.
So that, if I'm not mistaken, the base game will still have what it has, but this will have activities, like they're showing you here, helicopter rescues and things like that. Pretty freaking awesome, man.
I mean, and there's no game, and again, people won't call this a game, but it is a game. There's no game that looks like this. Forget about it.
For those out there on them streets who go, this is, why does this exist, or why does cloud gaming exist? Yeah, this game is uniquely qualified to explain why cloud gaming exists, because if you want to play this game on your PC, let's say this game is amazing, it's cool, you want to play it, it's awesome. It's now, let me see, it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in where I am living. if you want to play this game and you just have that idea in your head and you sign up into Game Pass, yeah, you'll get to play it tomorrow because that's how long it'll take you to download all the binaries just to get it up to date to get it ready to play. It is that big a freaking game. So guess what? Go on the cloud, boom, you're playing it 2 minutes. Absolutely. And I know this, I'm speaking from experience because I've downloaded this game and updated it from scratch 3 times now. And it takes me longer than almost 7 or 8 hours to do so. And I have a pretty decent connection.
Yeah.
It's a huge monster of a game. And then when it's done, it wants to update all the airports and everything else. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's the problem. That's a problem with these games nowadays, man, that these assets are so big, pause. That it's you know, it's like
I see what you did there, sir.
You know, so but yeah, man, I mean, another game, you know, to move it along, another game that I think I think that this one really caught a lot of people's attention. We got to talk about that Clockwork. What's
that
the
is
name
the
of
next
it?
one. That is 100% the next one I'm going to. That is like from the geniuses of. That's right. From the geniuses of Obsidian comes Clockwork Revolution, which In Exile, forgive me, In Exile, not Obsidian, In Exile, which I got to tell you, you know, we're gonna talk a lot about the whole Starfield of it all. But for me, if Starfield did not come here and bowl people over, my game of show would have been Clockwork Revolution because. Like, I open my eyes, I see that game, and all I see when I look at that game is what? BioShock. That's what I see.
Absolutely.
I see BioShock. I see all BioShock all day, and BioShock to me is a revolutionary franchise, and it deserves a lot more credit. That, you know, that it did so much for gaming, even though it hasn't come back in a while. And these guys are really, really speaking that BioShock language.
The whole tone of this trailer, it's just there's a moment in this trailer that it really picks up, you know, and it's when it's I've watched this trailer about 3 times. It's when the statue starts turning and right there, right here, it hits like a different level that you're like, whoa, what is this? You start paying attention, like this looks way polished, dude. This looks really good.
And a quick aside, there was an interview by Jeff Grubb. He interviewed Phil Spencer and Matt Booty, and during the interview they spoke about, you know, the showcase and many of the things they had shown off. And it was said that the Clockwork Revolution was played by Phil Spencer a year ago, showing most of the stuff we see in this trailer today. So like and it was under the question that answer came from a question of, hey, do other people go off and make these vertical slices, or how does that work? And basically to them, the idea is they check on these studios when they have something that's playable on a console ready, and then you can just capture that footage. So you're not going off and doing extra work. You're just kind of recording what you've already created, right? So
this was phenomenal, dude.
Yeah, so they're saying that what you're seeing here is what was playable last year.
That's great. That's great to know. And I like the release date, in due time. I thought that was pretty cool. And also the thing about this is that I think that what's very important that I noticed coming out of this show is that for the longest time, right, Xbox gamers, we've been waiting. You know, we've been waiting for these teams to see what they've been cooking, and I think that they did such a great job showing, you know, that this is just the first batch of stuff coming out from these teams, and I think that, you know, this is where, for the first time since they made all these acquisitions, this is the first time that now, for me at least, I was like, oh man, I see it. I see what Phil was talking about when he was interviewed by Kind of Funny, that he said, I can see it coming together. I understood what he meant by that.
So, okay, let's quickly talk about Fable before we get to Starfield, because that'll be the round of the show today. We want to keep it nice and concise. So, Fable. This game gobsmacked people to the point where they were not sure that what they were seeing was actually gameplay footage. Right?
You still have naysayers out there. Yeah.
Yes. They were convinced that what they saw, this right here, was actually what do you call it? In-game.
CGI.
It says in-game footage, but it's yes. They thought it was CG, but it's actually in-game footage, which is super interesting to me.
And taking an extra level. Not only when that was debunked, then they moved on to say that this was shot on a 4090. And then they had to come out and say, no, this was actually shot on an Xbox Series X.
There you go.
So they had to kind of double down. And it's very, look, man, just again, Playground Games. Wow. What can you say? This right here is this is Playground Games basically saying we want to show you that we can make more than just a card game. And we want to be known as, not that they aren't already, but they really want to take the reins of being the best, the Naughty Dog of Xbox. And something like this, the way that this is showing right now, it looks like they can get to that level, okay? They really can. This looks so good, okay? And just the humor was there, the charm of it all. It's just again, kind of like what they did with Prince of Persia. This is Fable for a new generation. This is Fable brought up to 2023. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. No, I agree with you. And it's so well rendered, and the humor is funny, and it's biting, and it's a little bit, blue right there. It hits just the right notes. I thought it was absolutely perfect because, hey, this is a storied franchise, right? And when it was first released, when people first experienced it, it was very much fairy tale, like what do you call it? The Three Little Bears, and that kind of innocent kind of storytelling, and it made you go, hey. How will they remake this? Are they going to redo exactly the way that the voice, how it was before with the innocence and all of that? Or are they going to take it to a different direction? And I think they've successfully taken it in a different direction while retaining that humor, man. I think it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, I really am excited for this specific game because I think like Playground had a lot to prove. Like they had a lot to prove, like more than most, right? They were the what do you call it? The if you will, what's the name of the studio? Guerrilla Games. They are like Guerrilla Games. They have a lot to prove because you know them for doing great work, but you know them for doing great work of a specific kind and a specific kind only, right?
Yes.
So for a long time, it was cachet to just be like, well, let's see if they can do it, right? And boy, can they do it! Based on what we're seeing here, it is definitely worth.
They made it their
attention,
own. I think what's important is that they're making it their own while keeping the spirit. Of what Fable is, and I think that that's important. And the last thing I'll say is that I think that what's very this part I didn't get, obviously, because they didn't go into this. Maybe they will when they talk a little bit more. I think tomorrow they're talking more, right? They're talking to all these teams tomorrow. Is this like I'm assuming that they just chose this particular character here because you're going to be able to create your character like you were in the other games, because that was like a big thing. So that's something that I want to see with their character creation.
Well, that is the question, right? Like, is that still definitively something you can do because you could do that before, or are they just taking that Starfield that IP of Fable, and instead of letting you create your character, now it's a story and we're focused on, hey, here's where we're going with it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It could be.
That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, before we get out of here, I do want to talk about Starfield. I want to touch on Starfield because Starfield, as great as the footage was, and the footage was amazing. I'm literally trying to call it up right now. The footage was absolutely gobsmackingly amazing, but it of course brought up more FUD in our community. It brought out that oh man, it's 60 frames. Oh, it's 40 frames. Oh, what kind of frame rate do you expect to get? And blah 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 blah. So I kind of want to talk about that if I can get this thing
on a PC because on a PC show. We're really gonna talk about frames because we don't worry about that. I just play.
Stop the slander, sir. Stop the slander.
Well, this is the thing, right? I think that for the longest time, everybody's been saying, especially since, look, man, Redfall really made this thing blow up. It really did, because the problem is that, the the promise of the 60 frames, okay? The Aaron Greenberg promise is something that's coming back kind of to bite him a little bit, and it's coming back to really bite the Xbox console gamers, because the expectation was that games were going to have a performance mode, and I think that, you know, for the console gamers, I'm one of them. I own one. I think that we need to realize that we have to take what they give us, unfortunately. And that's why you buy a PC, when you don't want to take what they give you.
See, it's not that simple, though, right? Because I do agree to a certain extent with those who are upset. Okay, I do agree with certain people who are upset. But I can't just simply say, well, I agree with those who are upset, and that's it, because there's some kind of self-responsibility also as a factor in that equation as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like I make that analogy all the time. There's no way, shape, or form you will get me to watch the Matrix on Netflix. Why? Because as much as it looks great on there, it's crap in comparison to when you put it in the disc, right?
Gotcha,
I was talking to a buddy of mine. He bought Super Mario Brothers, the movie, on Blu-ray, right? You can go watch it on the Disney Plus streaming service right now. Go watch it. It looks great. You'll have a great time. Put that Blu-ray in there, and it'll blow your freaking mind in comparison. Like, it is that big a difference. Look, one thing that the internet has done for us is it's gotten us used to non-4K and thinking it's 4K. Because it's not really 4K. And the entire internet is full of it. YouTube is full of it. Twitter is full of it. Not Twitter, I mean Netflix is full of it. All of those 4K, quote-unquote, 4K providing services aren't really 4K, so your eyes get used to sub 4K and say it's okay, right? If you plug it in, oh my God, what a difference if you put in a disc, right? But
Understood.
that doesn't mean that everybody's just going to use the disc all the time and that's the only requirement. Sometimes convenience trumps everything. I've been playing Diablo 4 all week now, right? I could play it on my PC, got a 4090, got a 3080 card as well, have a Series X. Could play it all of those places. Do you know where I'm playing it? I am playing it on a G Cloud. Yes, the Logitech G Cloud, streaming from my Xbox console. Why?
Yeah.
Because even though I could play it in the highest fidelity possible, I need to be watching the kids. I need to be hanging out with the fam. I don't have time to go sit in front of the OLED. So I'm trading that. Yes. Mm-hmm. So I'm trading that fidelity for the that fidelity and performance for convenience, right?
Understood.
So as long as you understand that that's what you're doing, you're cool. What the problem I have is, while the marketing did sell you a certain bill of goods, and I don't disagree with that, right? You, as an informed consumer, should know what you're getting. You should know that, yes, a $400 device will never be able to do what a $4,000 device is capable of doing. Right?
Absolutely.
And if they're not being honest with you and showing you the game running on a console, and they're showing to you running on a PC, maybe you should get mad at them for not setting your expectations straight rather than the hardware, because the hardware can only do what it can do, right? I will say that. But on the flip, I will also say, I know the hardware can do more than you've seen now. So they definitely do deserve some smoke there.
I agree. And here's the thing, right? Look, I think that where people start, I'm not going to say attacking, but start criticizing others for having a difference of opinion on the frame rates, is that we all need to understand something. What you're good with and what you're willing to settle with, not everybody's like that, and not everybody's the same.
Sure.
So and we all have different expectations and different likes and stuff like that. And I think that the big thing is that one, at least for me, right? Can I play a game at 30 frames per second? Absolutely. There's no problem. We've been playing games. Let's see here.
Shout out to the man Neo Mental in here. Appreciate you, brother.
Up?
He says, but I need 50 million sandwiches in my ship. Shut up and take my frames.
Exactly. So the thing is that the problem is, right, that when there's an expectation set, that is the issue. Okay, and
Yeah.
and since the expectation has been the push for 4K 60, that's a next gen feature, and you
Yeah.
start not getting that for whatever
Yep.
the reason may be, technicalities, remove the consumer from the technicalities of it. Okay, you're not delivering.
Forget the
on your
context.
promise.
You're not giving them what you promised you'd give them. You did not do
Exactly.
that. They're complaining. They have every right to complain. Fix it.
Exactly, and again,
Yeah.
it could. We know the technicalities behind it. We're in the trenches deep enough to know these things. But again, it's okay for the consumer to say, "Wait a minute, I just spent $500 on this Xbox, and it's not doing what it said it's gonna do. Why
Yeah.
is that?" Oh, I gotta do some homework and some research on why it's not doing what it's supposed to. But at the same time, Kay, and I think that me and you have talked about this before. This is only an issue that us hardcore gamers talk about. My cousin, who does not give a rat's what about frames, is going to play Starfield at 4K 30 perfectly fine. He's not going to care. He's not going to
Exactly.
care. So,
See, but this is but your description there, what you're talking about there, is why I want to talk about this, because I
Yes.
feel like those who care, there's a platform for you.
Absolutely.
I hate to be that guy, right? I hate to be that guy.
What did I do? What did you see me do on the weekend week that they announced that Starfield that I'm not Starfield, I'm sorry, that Redfall was 30? Did I not
Yup.
purchase a 4070? I
Yup,
put
the
my
the
money
man the man
where the
went
mouth
hat in
is.
hand and went, okay, time to go unlock them frames, and went and bought a
Absolutely.
4070.
I put my money where my mouth is, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to settle for that because I've already tasted what above 30 frames tastes like, and I don't want to go back. But guess what? I have to pay for that. So,
Well,
if you wanna
but you
pay-
know what though? Let's acknowledge, and we have a bunch of folks in the chat listening to us and having a conversation as well. We appreciate you being here. Please hit the like button if you haven't done so. I will say, like, I see Revive saying in the chat, salute to you for being here. He's saying it's not that. He's saying that people have unrealistic expectations of Bethesda games. I am 100% in agreement with you on that. If you look at it, right, in most games that you do an analysis or an analogy, oh, this looks like this looks like that. Oh, this draws from here, this draws from there. When you look at Bethesda, you can literally call out multiple games when you look at Starfield. You could call out multiple games within it. I can call out Mass Effect Andromeda right from jump within it.
Yeah.
I have played many hours of that game. Put a jetpack on in this thing, and it's Mass Effect Andromeda. Combine that jetpack and the combat that we saw, it's Mass Effect Andromeda, right? Nice. Some people will say it's AAA No Man's Sky. Some people will say it's Skyrim in space. Like, they take every idea and they take it to its fullest fruition. Like,
it looks amazing.
They take the idea of a space game and go all the way space dogfighting. Then they go, oh well, but you might be able to be a smuggler in that world and go and work on smuggling mechanics all the way. So it's like literally multiple games in this game, right? It is multiple games in it.
And I think that the delay really helped them polish this a lot. And I think that it's gonna. It showed in those 30 minutes, man. And the thing is that it's sad that now the narrative is around the frames. But I will say this, coming from a PC headspace, and again, there's a lot of technicalities of it. It's not as simple as us just saying why not, right? But I will say this, coming from the PC space now that I'm so entrenched in, is it fair for me to ask the question? Why is it so hard for them to make a 1440p version of this running at 60 or a 1080p version of this running at 60?
So
and give those players a performance mode?
Let me tell you why. And it's not even a why can't they do it. It's like it's a fork in the road. From what I can tell, based on everything that's been described and reported, it's a fork in the road. Now, this is what hear me when I say it's a fork in the road, okay? And for anybody watching, anybody that may watch this later, this is just my hypothesis based on my experience. I'm telling you, it's a fork in the road for two main reasons, right? One reason because as Dutch in the chat says so aptly, because Todd Howard doesn't care about 60 frames. He's very much a filmic gamer. It's all about filmic, right? It's all about that filmic aspect.
But okay, can I say something?
But,
and I'm sorry to interject, but But why does it run over 60 on the PC then?
Well, this is what I was going to tell you. This is what I was where I was gonna go. But you can't take them seriously when they say it was a creative choice, because quick analogy. FromSoft, they make hard as nails games. That's a creative choice. Doesn't matter where you play it. You're playing hard as nails games. You can't play a different version on PC versus console versus anywhere else. They made their creative choice and they're sticking with it, right? If this was that level of creative choice that they chose to keep it filmic, quote unquote, it would be locked at 30 frames wherever you play it, even PC.
I agree with that 100%.
But they're not locking it at 30 on PC because, let me tell you, if you watched Phil Spencer's interview again with Grubb, he said they got in on it a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. It doesn't take a year and a half to almost 2 years to make this game. I would say it takes almost 10 years to make this game based on all of the details they're showing here.
There's a lot, man.
Every discipline taken to its fullest extent. Like, this has the most dialogue of almost any game. This has the most of everything of almost any game. It took a very long time to put this game together, and they got involved 2 years ago. And it is said that the most important decision you make is when you start making a game is the platform you choose to make it on. So, just like I said back when Redfall became a thing, this was started as a multiplat game. And multiplat means everyone. And what it can't do is scale specifically to that one platform you want it to, which is Xbox. Because they didn't start there, right? They started middle of the road trying to hit everyone. And more than most, this is PC and console. And on console side, who will they profile for first?
Oh, the 4K 30 crowd. Yeah.
No, they'll profile for the PlayStation 5 first. That's where all the users are. That's true. Before Microsoft went, hey, you belong to us. They will start for PS5 because that's where all the users are. Right? Yeah. So if there were tricks that could have been employed to give more overhead to make the Series S and X shine, those will not be used even now. Right?
That's a shame.
So what will happen? They'll say, hey, this is a choice we made. It's filmic. And yes, God Howard loves his filmic. But in the background, they're making a patch to eventually give you 60. So when they since that exists, the idea that it was a creative choice to me is snake oil just to appease you. Because if it's really a creative choice, you'll never see a 60 frames version of this game ever. Because it's 30. That was our creative choice.
Here's the thing I've learned, right, from being in the PC community for over a year already. The community will figure it out if they don't.
Oh, okay, no doubt. This is Skyrim all over again. We'll get an unofficial 60 frames patch soon.
Oh yeah. So the part that that gets me kind of to chuckle at this is, again, when we talk about the, as you quote it, Honda Civic problems, and I call it the missionary gamer problem. It's that don't believe what they're telling you, because the thing is that, remember, they're gonna tell you. And that's something I learned this generation. You can't believe what these platform holders are telling you, because you're only going to be disappointed at the end.
It's not always exactly what they're saying. I'm not saying they're liars, right?
No, but
that's not what we're saying. Because let's be real here. Exactly. Let's be real here. Todd Howard favors 30 over 60 every day, all day. That is a fact. Yes, right.
That is a fact.
And a shout out. I'm gonna put the comment here that Dutch put in here. Nothing to do with performance. He specifically wants the game at 30. I disagree with that, sir. And you know why? Because I bet you, whether it be a month from now, 6 months from now, or a year from now, you will eventually get a 60 frames patch on the consoles. And if that exists, which we all know it does, it was never a creative decision, because creative decisions don't get undone. It's what they do. Hey, this is the decision we made. We're sticking with it. That's it. They'd move forward. Right? But undoing it later tells you they wanted to do that first and they couldn't do it well first for one reason or another. And I do agree with him that it's not a performance issue. It's more optimization, and they need to make it like solid 60 before they lock it to 60. Like, they even said it in many of the interviews that it's gone over 60 in many respects, but they can't get it locked solid in one respect. So instead of letting it fluctuate, they lock it to 30, keep it filmic, and they'll work on it later. You know what I'm saying?
I get you, and the thing is that Dutch is right though when he does say that Punty likes the missionary gamer problems. That we got to get merchandise on that, but it's the same console every night of the week. No, but seriously, but seriously
Terrible.
speaking up, but seriously though, it's just that Todd has gone on record saying that he does prefer 30. That's come out of his mouth. But the thing is that this is okay. We've evolved as gamers, right? So what was good enough back then is not good enough now, in my opinion. So back then, 720p was considered HD when the 360 came out, and that was, whoa, look at this. This is the HD era now. You release a game now at 720p, the standard's gone up a little bit, okay? And that's what I think that these devs need to understand, and there's a fine line there, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a business, and they're going to do what makes the most business sense. But the thing is that... Go ahead.
So my only pushback to that, and I agree with you, but my only pushback to that is, although you are right in that giving us 720p in 2023 is not acceptable, or giving us 30 frames limit in 2023 may not be acceptable depending on the situation, I will agree with you on that. But the only reason why it makes it difficult to make that argument to the devs is you, and by you, I don't mean you specifically, but you as the consumer, you make that reasoned argument, but you don't add the righteous context to it. And when you don't, they think you don't understand the full concept, right?
Yeah.
Because I get it. 2023, 2024, giving you a 30 frames game is unacceptable by you. And that's okay that it's unacceptable by you. You have every right to feel that way, right? But if you understand that you'll never get that with Forza, you'll never get that with the next. You'll never get that with Elder Scrolls, the next Elder Scrolls. Right? You won't get that. I bet you the next Elder Scrolls will come at 60 frames from jump. Why? Because they started development knowing that the Series S was a target, knowing that the Series X was a target. So maybe they'll use mesh shaders. Maybe they'll use different compression blocks that are available to the consoles. If you start in that realm, you make sure you give yourself enough overhead to make sure you succeed on that specific box, right? So I say all that to say, if you want to like respectfully complain to your, and by the way, this is the BioShock moment, right? Look at this thing. This is amazingly BioShock Andromeda.
Wow.
If you want to complain to them about, hey, we want to see more, then you need to at least let them understand that you get the context in the middle. Because if you go, why is Starfield this way? Why is Redfall this way? Why is this? They understand that you don't know that, yeah, they turned first party last week. Comparatively.
That makes sense.
Right?
I mean, that makes sense.
They turned first party last week. How can they influence somebody that turned first party like a week and a half ago, comparatively? Right?
I mean,
now, if you have smoke for turn 10, you have smoke for Playground Games, you have smoke for any of those games that literally started their life and incubated as an Xbox game and it doesn't live up, aka Motorsport releases and it's 30 frames per second on Series S or X, you got smoke for that? Pitchforks right there. I got you. Right? But you can't say that about Starfield because it wasn't developed as an Xbox game. That was way later down the line.
I agree with what you're saying. Now, the last thing that I will say about it, Kay, is honestly, look, and again, it goes with everyone's likes and what they're willing to settle and put up with, right? And it's realistic expectations too, right? Do I personally think that this game, if they had enough time and resources, they can get it to 60? I think so. Do you think so?
Oh, hell yeah. It did.
Okay.
Mark my words. Mark my words. This game will be 60 frames eventually. Okay. And that's the reason why I say them saying it's a creative decision, that's snake oil.
Perfect.
Because if the console was never going to be a 60 frames version ever, like this is it, move forward, just like people have been fighting with FromSoft forever and they go get good, shut up, peace out. That's a creative decision. There is no way God Howard, and I keep calling him that, will be like, this thing is 30 filmic. That's the way we decided for Series S and X. Push sand, keep it moving. They're not doing that. You will eventually get a 60 frames mode.
So where I'm going with that is that for everyone out there that says that 30 frames is good enough and that they don't have a problem with it, All respects, no problem
exactly.
with that. However,
Yeah.
however, if you tell me that you would not take 60 frames over 30, I think that you're lying to yourself, because more is always,
I'll push back on you. I'll push back on you there, sir, because I know gamers who don't know or can't tell the difference, and they genuinely can't tell the difference. They don't play it that way, and it's all a matter of what you're used to, right? If you're a person who's used to playing on the OLED, CX, or whatever, you're used to how a 60 frames game looks, right? I bought a gigabyte 32-inch 4K screen for my PC. Learned to play at 144 hertz. Like, I'm used to it now, to the point where when I see 60 frames, sometimes it feels less than, which is very strange, right? You get used to what you get used to. There are genuinely people out there who aren't used to 60 frames. And to you, I say, live in that awesome world, because you have more options. You don't have to worry about what frames are screwing you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the frames is an issue, because you become kind of a snobbish gamer, and the thing is that let's call it for what it is. But like I said before, if you're gonna make it if you're gonna make this frames thing such a big deal, then you need to come to realization that you need to take what they give you if you're on console, and that if you want to push the envelope, you need to put your money where your mouth is and buy yourself a PC.
I love how this conversation came full circle, because once again, when I am ready to play and watch The Matrix at full fidelity, I go hunt down my UHD Blu-ray 4K, put it in the drive, don't have to settle for less. And if you don't want to settle for less, you know what to do. Now, saying that doesn't make your console a potato or a piece of crap. That's ridiculous.
No,
right?
No,
and that's what this show. That's what this show is here to really, really say to you, right? You don't drive a Honda Civic in a race to see who can break the speed barrier. You drive it to go to the grocery store.
Exactly,
right?
And it gets the job done.
If you want to break the speed barrier, go find a car that breaks the speed barrier. If you want 60 frames per second, go find a device that can do that.
Am I the only one that coming out of this shipbuilding demo here? Like, can you imagine the ship, the design out of penises that people are going to be making? Like, am I the only one that thought that there's going to be penises flying all over the screen?
So on the topic of the ships, and I think this is the last topic we'll talk about before we adjourn. I have a pro tip for Xbox, and when this happens or it doesn't happen, hopefully it happens, and when it does, clip it. You heard it here first. This is the idea. It's free for you, Microsoft. Take it. Just give me some credit one day. When they do this, I want them to do this. There'll be penis ships. There'll be mech ships. I'm sure there'll be Slave One ships. There'll be copyrighted. There'll be a bunch of ships, right? I get that, because that's what look at this thing. They built like a goofy version of Optimus Prime. Look at the Optimus Prime goofy ship.
It's Voltron.
Or Voltron, exactly, right? My only request, Microsoft, after you've played this game for X amount of hours and your ship has a name and all of this stuff, right? Like you've done all of this, then you know what you do. Give us an option to 3D print it. Give us an option to output.
Oh, yeah.
Output, 3D print it. Once we 3D print it, guess what? We're heading to where? Heading to a 3D printer. Charge me $100. I don't care what you charge me, right?
That's good.
I will pay for it and 3D print this thing and leave it on my desk. I want my own personal 3D printed ship from from Starfield. They can do that. That's possible.
I think that idea is $1 million idea, and for sure that they should definitely do that. Now, one thing that I will tell you is that let's talk about real fast before we go. Let's talk about because we've been talking about the frames thing. Let's talk about what they actually showed in that half an hour. And let me tell you something, okay? Before, I thought that this game was going to be a masterpiece, but after what they showed, I don't know. I feel this sudden urge of FOMO. It looks amazing. I must stop you for a moment, sir. I must stop you for a moment, and we're at the end of the show, and don't lose your thread of what you were going to say, but one thing I must say is thanks to the Wandering Dutch, who came here, saw our show, and went, I got something for you. Oh,
Bam.
Thank you, Dutch.
Look at that.
Wow,
Look at that.
nice. There you go. Now we're entering that alpha stage. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, sir.
Now,
We appreciate you, sir.
Nice. Thank you, Dutch.
As you were
it.
saying, go for it. Continue what you were saying.
Yeah, no, shout out Dutch. Thanks, man. But seriously speaking though, what they showed in that half an hour was just they didn't need to sell the game to a lot of people. But if you were on the fence, if you didn't know what this game was, if you had no idea what they were working on, this completely knocked the socks off of everyone that I've seen talk about it, okay? The gunplay, the amount of weapons, the amount of customization is what I'm like the most like looking forward to. I think even at the end, did they show that you have some type of force powers? Like what was that all about?
Okay, let's talk about that quickly. Because I think, and I said this already on this show, I think this game is unabashedly copying in the best way from all other really great games, including Mass Effect. And what does Mass Effect give you? Biotics. That looked like biotics to me. It looked like realistic biotics to me. Because if you look at the storyline, they were like, oh, there are these weird artifacts. Like, it looks like that world is a very grounded world, right? It looks like a very grounded world with technology, and they're going to space, and they're using really grounded things. And then they found these weird artifacts that make no sense based on what the story is telegraphing so far. And it might be that those artifacts are causing extraordinary things to happen, including space magic, as it were. And it looked like biotics to me. It looked like, hey, this is kind of Mass Effect's version of biotics, but done in a realistic kind of way a little bit. I don't know if they go full bore pushing people across the room or anything, but it looked interesting. You know, it's cool. You know, what do you think?
It got me. It looked amazing, and it got me hyped for it for sure. Like before, like I said, I was sold on it, obviously. But man, what they showed, like now, it's up there as probably my most anticipated game of the year. And I mean, they really set the bar really high on that one.
No doubt.
Mean, did you? I know that they even got you to pre-order the controller and the headset, right?
So okay, to be fair, there's a reason I pre-ordered the controller.
Oh, okay.
So let me tell you. So in my illustrious console career, my illustrious podcasting career, I should say, I pride myself on being a person with data. I like to have information. I love the speeds and feeds. I love the technology of things. I love all that stuff. I love how they dig into the details. I would love one day from somebody at Microsoft to write a book about how they're using virtual machines and hypervisors to basically like control a console. And if you think I'm speaking Greek right now, that's the kind of stuff I love. I work with hypervisors all day. I know that Microsoft is using them. So these are the things that animate me, right? I received some information some time ago, and I made the dumb miscalculation to share that information in public. Long story short, I called the controller and headset before they actually were officially announced. I got slothed by it. It turned into a pain in my butt for about 2-3 days. I really hated my life for 2-3 days because I got slothed by the console, the controller and headset. But of course, it's all blown over. Everything's fine and all is well. So I insisted on getting a copy of the headset and controller, just to remind myself of my one and only slothing, and teach myself to keep my damn mouth shut.
Yikes!
That's what that is.
It's all right. I mean, but still, even with that said, though, I mean that the design of the headset and the controller, it goes. I mean, I'm really shocked that they don't have a custom console, but I mean, but that's fine. I mean, the controller at minimum, I'm gonna get for sure.
Yeah. So, and they're the sandwiches. They're good looking sandwiches, boy. So,
yeah, but they're taking away from the frames. They're taking away from the frames. So,
I was able to get the headset. I was able to get the controller, and I was able to get the collector's edition. Now, the collector's edition is a bit expensive, but I did get it because I tend to be a watch fiend, and the smartwatch that are including in this thing is special. It looks amazing.
Where are we playing this, kid? We're doing Game Pass or we're gonna do Steam?
I'm playing this everywhere. Like I have
Gotcha.
a copy. I will have a copy everywhere, so I'm playing this everywhere. And luckily, because of Microsoft, I don't have to buy it everywhere. I have the PC version and I have the console version, so that means I can play it on the Steam. I can play it on everywhere
Yeah,
there
I
is.
think
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do the Game Pass version on PC because that way I can for that time that I do want to play at 30, the very rare time, I'll be
The very
I'll be
rare
like,
time he wants to play Filmic.
Yeah, exactly. I'll have my cross saves. There.
One last thing. There will be a lot of salt to come. There will be a lot of salt to come. And why is that? Because for all you ROG Ally fans out there, for all you Steam Deck users out there, when you are playing your game, even though most likely you will not be able to hit the highest frame rates, obviously you can make concessions, you can drop it, you can use the upscaling to change that and all that. You'll most likely be able to hit higher frame rates than the console players at launch, because on console they lock it down and on PC they leave you to your devices. So chances are you tweak this setting, you tweak that setting, chances are your ROG Ally will be flying higher than even the Series X. So get ready for that salt to start flowing, because console gamers are going to be upset that they can't play it at a higher frame rate. And a potato handheld supposedly can,
Speaking of which, tomorrow that ROG Ally is launching, I'll be first in line.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited. I got that grown man Switch set up. So dude, I don't know. I'm probably not going to sleep tonight. Every time that there's a console or something coming up, I get giddy.
Yep, absolutely. So we're gonna look forward to your reporting on the ROG Ally. I'm gonna want a full tutorial from you. Just before we go, ladies and gentlemen, just to, so you understand what we're talking about here. We're gonna Mr. Wolf has been going through some projects. He's been doing some interesting things, and I want him to do full tutorial. Do full wonderful things, show us how it looks. Maybe we might even get into the speeds and feeds of how he got there, how maybe we might do tutorials of how you can get there as well. We're looking to really do some interesting techie stuff in the background. So stick with us if you have if you want to learn more about that stuff. If there's anything new you want to learn, anything that's out of the ordinary from your normal gaming life, and you're like, hey man, I'm dipping my toe into the PC world, what can I do? How can I get this done? How can I get that done? The DMs are open. Reach out to us. We are definitely ready to help you with any kind of handheld conversations, any kind of PC conversations you want. And before we go, let me drop you with a very last piece of information before we get out of here. And every time on this show, we like to give you guys some tips and tricks to help you through your PC gaming, help you through help you discover something new. And this week, since it is ROG Ally week and a lot of folks are going to be getting their hands on their ROG Ally, my recommendation is go on Humble Bundle and get you the must-play Metrovanias gaming bundle. Now, What is this gaming bundle? You pay at least $15 and you get some of the best Metroidvanias out. And $15 alone, Hollow Knight is worth it. Hollow Knight is absolutely worth it.
And Blasphemous as well.
Absolutely worth it. If you are part of the Metroidvania OG and you really love it, Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, classic. You will love it. This game, Haiku, unusually good. I've tried most of these, not all of them, but $15 and you get excellent Metroidvanias that each by themselves would cost you $15 and you'd pay for it with no issues. No,
and if you have
these are all $15 together.
And if you have a Steam Deck, those games run amazingly on the Steam Deck.
Absolutely, yes. So there are two bundles today. There's the and they're both pay what you want. There's the Metroidvania bundle, then there's the Pixel Pride bundle. Also has a bunch of awesome games in it. Your Celeste in there, a bunch of very cool games. And every month they switch it up, right? Sometimes it's just books. Sometimes it's books, games, software. Let me see what the whole bundle set is. Look, so there are your books right there. Comics, other things. Sometimes if you're an aspiring developer, you have a bunch of Polygon assets, how to learn to code, bunch of really cool, interesting things. So we'll leave you with that one. If you are a new ROG Ally user and you're thinking, hey, I don't have a big Steam library, I don't have a big library whatsoever.
Oh yeah,
maybe check out this place. All these are in Steam. They will give you all these codes in Steam, and if they give it to you elsewhere, it's a Windows ROG Ally, so you can just install the installer, and they'll help you through that. So yeah, this is really cool. I think this will help you start your bundle, your library off in the right direction. But
If
anything else you want to discuss, anything else you want to bring up before we get out of here, Mr. Wolf?
Yeah. Two things. If there's anyone in the chat that's getting the ROG Ally, you guys hit me up on Twitter tomorrow. I'll be really interested to know what you think. I know that our personal DM is going to be fire all day. And then Mr. Joanna Dark wants to know if we can discuss the Switch. And to that I say, no.
Sure we can. No. Sure
I'm
we
just playing around.
Sure, of course we can discuss the Switch. The device was outdated. The Abacus was outdated the day it was released because the NVIDIA was funny and they decided to release hardware that they had already used on their NVIDIA Shield a year before the Nintendo Switch got their hands on it. It's been a piece of crap hardware way back then, and it's continued to be a piece of crap hardware moving forward. Nintendo are geniuses. They are brilliant. They deserve all the accolades. How can you make such amazing stuff from a grain of sand, from dust? How can you make magic from an abacus? It's just amazing.
The Switch is the console for missionary gamers. Let's just call it.
Oh my God. Okay,
that's
on
the
that
official console of the missionary gamer.
On that note, I swear I could see missionary gamers t-shirts right now. Oh man. Anyway, so thank you so much for joining me as usual, Mr. John Wolf. You and your slanderousness. I don't think this show will be PG-13 since we recorded in the evening, and missionary gamer is becoming definitely a moniker.
It's the same console every night.
I understand, sir. But okay, so we will end it here. This is our third experimental episode. I suspect that maybe the next episode we do, it might be next week or it might be in 2 weeks. Our experimental episodes are every 2 weeks, but we might, when this show starts properly weekly, it will be once a week. I think maybe we'll see how it goes. Maybe episode 1 proper will be next week. We'll see. We'll pull the trigger on that and see if we can bring that to fruition. But between now and then, if anything pops up, anything interesting, you might see us in your feed. But until then, Mr. John Wolf, I think we're good here. We're adjourned. We usually try to go for a nice clean hour. This time we went for about an hour and 20. But I think we're good there. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I just want to thank everyone for passing by and hanging out with us. Doesn't matter what your opinion is or your thoughts, man. Everybody's welcome here, and it's a place to discuss.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, any concerns, any help you need, anything you want to talk about, you are free and clear and welcome. And the gamers playground is an open place where people can come and talk about it.
Hey, you know what? Nix has a pretty good suggestion there in the chat. That's not
okay. Let's see what Nix has to say before we get out of here. Nix says, suggestion: PC game releases this week segment. Oh wow. That is both a good idea and a very bad idea, Nix. You know why? Because on PC game releases, you'd have to look at Steam, and those waters are a waterfall, bro.
We can point you in that direction.
Every week, 30,000 games get released. But no, good suggestion. What I'll do is I'll curate that list. I'll see if we can find some, PC-specific games that people are talking about, and we'll bring it to your attention on a weekly basis. That's a good pull. I will definitely do that. But okay. Great stuff. If you have a suggestion, anybody in the crowd that watches this later, please put it up, put it in the comment section. I read every single one of them. I appreciate all your support. I appreciate you guys checking it out. I appreciate your criticism. I appreciate your constructive, hey, this is how you make the show better. Hey, this needed work. We appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for checking us out. But until next week, since we have no intro or outro, we'll say have a good week. Keep it gaming. And if you know that you like 60 frames and it's important to you, there's a platform available for you.
Exactly.
Have a good one.
ROG Ally.